Now, there are a number of threats that Naspers has to be wary of. Firstly, it's competing against other international technology investor companies from developed markets in the USA, in Europe, in Asia, and they're also competing to a growing extent with technology companies from Africa. Now, the American, European, and Asian companies may have bigger balance sheets, and they may have more extensive networks in developed countries than Naspers has. So the growing networks these companies have could compromise the growth prospects of Naspers. It's also going to be a lot more difficult and competitive for Naspers to identify and secure stakes in companies that are going to be the next Tencent. Secondly, it would seem that outside of South Africa, Naspers has largely neglected the African market, and other players have rapidly filled this space. These companies include Jumia, they include Econet, which we'll discuss in the next section, they include Cellulant, Safaricom, Mr. Mac, and many others. Now, some of these companies have arguably built up greater operational capabilities in developing and deploying technology in Africa better than Naspers has. And it's going to be an uphill battle for Naspers to catch up, even if Naspers has got a greater pool of capital available. These companies are becoming a lot more entrenched with businesses and consumers in the African marketplace. So this lack of African expertise and exposure is probably Naspers' greatest weakness. In the region of the world where you'd expect Naspers to be the most dominant and savvy player, it's possibly in the B team and arguably in the C team. And as I've highlighted, the Asians, the Europeans, the North Americans have intense competition from a host of global players, which will make operating in these regions far much more difficult than it was at the turn of the century.